Hola, everyone. I am getting on YouTube to bring a thought which maybe some of you folks might just kind of try to reflect on, relate to, whatever. And that is the country of Taiwan, which is a democracy. And whether you know the history of Taiwan or not, basically Chiang Kai-shek was in rule of mainland China. There was a revolution, and the Red Chinese chased him out of the country, or let's say he fled. Chiang Kai-shek fled, and they've been there since the revolution in the 40s. Now, late 40s, after World War II. So one has to think about recent current events with this quote move for democracy in it's funny as hell if it wasn't so sad. Recent events in Egypt and the rest of the that region, where all you people out there are saying, yeah, go get him, go get him. You know, go get Mubarak, kick him out. Why isn't he just leaving? And you know, anytime people want freedom, all you people out there say, yeah, you know, you dictators, just give it up, give it up, let people be free. Now here we have a situation in Taiwan where the people are free. I think in 1996 or 1999 or 1998, somewhere around the area, they had their first free presidential elections. Now this did not make China too happy, and because of the economic pressure China has on us, I doubt we will lift a finger to stop the Chinese from going in there. Now, the Chinese don't want to wreck a good thing because Taiwan is a very, very productive place. And the last thing they would like to see is a war and destroy all that productivity. But the time will come when the United States is totally bankrupt and the Chinese have used all that power, all that economic power, to increase their military to the point where we won't keep up with them. We will feel like the Russians did when Ronald Reagan ran them ragged by provoking them with potential invasion on their east coast, which is actually a funny story. I mean, we really, they were on a state of constant alert because they really thought we were going to go in and blow up some of their main bridges, which would have severed the East and West Soviet Union. I mean, it would have been catastrophic. But anyhow, getting back to China and Formosa, Taiwan, I should say, someone has to give this some thought. I mean, I don't hear any cheering section for the Chinese, who are basically a democracy. They're free. And China is going to try, or has been trying over the years, to impose communism. Now, who's going to start writing letters to the editor asking about the Taiwanese question as to what we're going to do? Are we going to let them become communists? Are we going to do the same thing we did to that Gonzalez kid, sending them back to Cuba? Are we going to send the Taiwanese people back to China? I mean, we're all saying that the people have this now. Now they're talking about a God-given right to be free. Everybody's talking about that in Egypt and that whole Middle East area. But it seems it's only when it's not against the bad guys. And although Obama has said some disparaging remarks against Iran, it's been like too little too late. And I haven't heard anything recently, even though they're still oppressive over there. And in China is still oppressive. But now we're talking about, you know, Iran and North Korea. They all kind of work on strings from China. China basically gives them some marching orders, I think. But how does that grab you? That the fact that the Taiwanese people will ultimately be communists, not because they want to, not because they're going to vote to be a communist, because the mobs are gonna, the hordes of Chinese will ultimately be able to force them militarily um, to become communists, to become basically under a regime which one would think um, that we'd be upset about. So we're against dictators because the people don't have the right to vote for anything significant. And yet, I'd like to know what the difference is between the hierarchy of the Chinese and dictators. I mean, it seems to me that you essentially, I think, have a one-party system over in China. So it's really, there's only one party. There's only one mind thought. You know, I'm going to have to look into this, but it just seems to me that we're not going to give a damn, or you don't give a damn about what happens to the Taiwanese. Do you? I mean, do you really care? Because at this point, the media doesn't seem to care. They're not talking about the poor people. What's it? AC 360? Anderson Cooper, or what the hell is his name? Anderson something. Does he care about the Taiwanese? Who cares? I mean, who cares about the Taiwanese that will be ultimately under Chinese control, under communist control? That's where they, you know, they lock you up and you sell your organs and all kinds of neat stuff. They're great people. Actually, they are great people, but the point is their brand of politics doesn't seem to bother Mr. Obama or the rest of the Democrats, or most of them. And I think we should start talking about Taiwan. And if we'll just, you know, just kind of mention them in passing, that hey, what about Taiwan? Who's speaking up for Taiwan? They won't allow them in the UN. The United Nations won't allow Taiwan, and yet the UN is talking about liberating all these terrible places. So apparently they don't consider China terrible. And we can't consider China terrible because they own us, lock, stock, and barrel at this point. And their trend is advance, and our trend is retreat. And once again, here we are. They're treated as a developing nation, not bound by any environmental concerns because they're developing. And yet, we get on our knees and beg for them to buy our treasury notes. Does that make sense? They're that bad off that they're loaning us money? That's like going to the guy on the street, the wino on the street, and say, hey, could you loan me a few bucks so I can get by my lunch? Anyhow, perhaps I'm just wasting my time here, you know, bringing up Taiwan. Maybe you might want to do some research on Taiwan and ask your senators and congressmen about Taiwan and what's our position on that. You know, let's ask, maybe we should go to Amnesty International. Do they give a damn about Taiwan? I mean, the environmentalists should love Taiwan because I think they're producing things probably a little cleaner than they do in China. In fact, the environmentalists, I don't know if they've ever come down on China for polluting the world. There's a trail of carbon dioxide from all those freaking freighters that go from China to the west coast, and you can see it from satellite. I mean, the environmentalists say, hey, why don't we build it here and then we don't have to have all that wasted energy moving things halfway around the world. Does that bother any environmentalists, all you tree huggers out there? I don't know. A lot of crazy stuff happening here, and I'm kind of glad I'm an old bastard because basically I don't have to deal with this as long as some of you folks are going to be turned into robots, and you won't even know it. The problem is with today's youth, they don't know the way it was. They have nothing to compare it with. They have nothing to compare the lunacy that us old codgers, and I'm 63, have seen a transition taking place, and it's obviously taking place for a reason, and it's obviously the both parties have been compliant in this. How much has to do with the Federal Reserve, I don't know. You can't talk about the Federal Reserve. They're basically absolved from anything. We can't investigate them. We just give them a blank check, or they give us a blank check, and everything's fine. So, anyhow, think about the poor Taiwanese people, and how you're going to feel depending on how the media makes you feel. And if you don't think that the media makes you feel a certain way, I think you're delusional. Because this whole experience with Egypt and everything else is truly amazing, because you've been hypnotized, brainwashed to feel a certain way, to feel a certain empathy for the Egyptian people, which you never gave a damn about before, and the people in Libya now. Yet the Taiwanese, what they're going to be up against eventually could be far worse than anything we've seen happen in Egypt. And like I said before, more people being killed in Detroit and Washington, D.C. by thugs and murderers than basically what happened in Egypt. Okay, that's enough of this. Put on your thinking caps. Listen to Michael Savage, okay? Bye-bye.